It's combo time with Zacian V. Welcome back everyone to more from the Stabilize, and today we are going to be taking a look at a couple of the lists, well not a couple, one of the lists from the Limitless Qualifier 4, and this one is the winning list. It's Combo Zacian. There was actually a mirror in the final, so this deck is definitely very, very powerful, and it gives you a little bit of something to work with if you don't necessarily like the ADP variant. I'm a big fan of it. I think it's really, really cool. What we'll do is we'll take a look at the winning list in just a second, but before then, if you haven't already, consider subscribing. We've got about 60% of our viewers who watch these videos that are not subscribed, so we'd like to decrease that if we could. Jump on board if you like the content and leave it a like as well. That would be great. But without further ado, what we'll do is we'll take a look at the list. Alright, so Zacian V, Turbo Zacian, this is the winning list from Limitless 4, and obviously is built around the Intrepid Sword Brave Blade Zacian V. What a card this has become. So many decks use this card, and I mean, it's pretty obvious as to why. It's super, super strong, super powerful, and definitely worth investing in. Intrepid Sword is a great support ability, especially if you're going first, and Brave Blade is one of the most consistent and powerful attacks in the game. So we're going to make use of that by trying to set up this cool combo that allows us to take extra prizes with our Zacian. Now, we've got a ton of cool cards here that we're going to look at, but let's look at them one at a time. This is the first one. Jirachi Prism Star is what is going to set our combo off. If you have a look at that ability text there, Wish Upon a Star reads, if you took this Pokemon as a face-down prize card during your turn, your bench isn't full, then before you put it into your hand, you may put it on your bench and take one more prize. That seems like a really, really difficult effect to get off, but if you can work it, then it will be very, very powerful. Up until this point, it's not necessarily been super great. I mean, we've potentially been able to draw an extra prize if we get lucky and prize it, and if we get lucky and pick it up, but we don't really want to give our opponent that kind of dead card in our hand if it isn't prized. But with things like Scoop Up Net from Rebel Clash, as well as Sword and Shield's Primate Wisdom Oranguru, which can place cards on the top of the deck, we can actually get this cool combo using Mr. Mime from Detective Pikachu with the ability Pantomime. This one says when you play this Pokemon from your hand to the bench, you can switch one face-down prize card with the top card of your deck. So we're going to use Oranguru with Primate Wisdom to put our Jirachi Prism on top of the deck. We'll draw an extra card with the Oranguru as well, so we can look at an extra card. We'll put the Jirachi Prism on the top of the deck, and then we'll use Mr. Mime to put that Jirachi Prism guaranteed into the prize cards. And what that'll allow us to do is it'll allow us to take the extra prize first of all, but with things like Scoop Up Net, we'll potentially be able to pull this off multiple times. And when you think about it, if you're able to pull this play off twice, then you're more than likely going to win the game, because it means that you can take a knockout on 2 GX Pokemon and take 3 prizes without having to knock out a VMAX or a tag team, which is really, really strong. And since Zacian's attack is 230 damage, we're obviously going to be able to knock out every GX that is seeing play at the moment that isn't a tag team. So things like Dedenne, we're going to be able to knock out. Blacephalon GX, if it's floating around, we're going to knock those out. We're going to knock out things like Cramoran as well, Victini V. Lots of those kind of basic V or GX cards we're going to be able to knock out. And if we can set up our combo before that, then we should be able to run away with the game. Now, there's a couple of other Pokemon that warrant mentioning. We've got Mew in the list to protect from things like Pikarom, to be able to stop that Tag Bolt from hitting our bench. There are a couple of other spread attacking decks out there that we might want to stop, but Pikarom's the major one. And we also have Mawile-GX with Captivating Wink. This is going to be our out against things like Obstagoon. So Obstagoon can sometimes be a big problem for this deck. It means that they can play down one Obstagoon and just attack into us forever, and we can never deal with them. But if we play down more Mawile-GX, then we can potentially play Captivating Wink, put Pokemon from our opponent's hand onto the bench, and then take some knockouts from there to win the game. So there is that opportunity as well. There's heaps and heaps of cool cards in this list. cool Pokemon as well, but there's a couple of extra things to take a look at as well that are outside the purview of a normal Zacian V deck. Things like this deck has a copy of Friend Ball, and that's a card that we haven't seen in competitive lists before, because it's normally not super useful, but when you think about it, look at all of these different types here. We've got Psychic, Normal, Electric, and Metal. And those cards are pretty much in every deck at the moment. So if you're playing against Dragapult, then you're going to be able to find Mr. Mime and Mew. If you're playing against the Zacians, you're going to be able to find Jirachi Prism. You're going to be able to find Mawile. If you're playing against anything that plays the Dedenne, you can find the Dedenne. If they put down an Oranguru of their own, then we can grab ours as well. So Friend Ball is actually a pretty inspired inclusion in this list. Apart from that, the items aren't super interesting. There's obviously a copy of Tool Scrapper in, which I really like as well, to get rid of things like Metal Frying Pan from Zacians, as well as Metal Goggles, which is seeing a huge amount of play as well. We can attach this to our Zacian or our Jirachi, and the attacks that are going into this Pokemon take 30 less damage, just like Frying Pan, but instead of removing weakness, which is obviously a big deal, the Metal Goggles means that our opponent's attacks and abilities can't put damage counters on our Pokemon. So Dragapult VMAX spreading damage around, it's not going to happen. Not on our Pokemon with Metal Goggles on. Things like Zigzagoon, if we've got Galarian Zigzagoon coming into the field of play, Metal Goggles is going to stop that damage. So a very, very inspired pick for this specific deck. And because we can attach it to more than just Zacian, I think we're feeling pretty good as well. Now, there is one more card that I want to talk specifically about before we jump into some gameplay, and that is in our supporter line. It's an interesting supporter line because we've got 2 copies of Sonia. This card, again, is one of those cards that has kind of seen niche play in some rogue decks, but never really in a deck like this that's been successful. But when you think about it, Sonia's actually a really, really good inclusion for a deck like this. We can search our deck for up to 2 basic Pokemon or 2 basic energies. And in doing so, we're going to be able to find a lot of the important cards we need. If our Zacian needs extra energy to power it up, sure, we can use Sonia to find one of our 12 metal energy. There's heaps of them. One of our 12 metal energy in order to power it up. But most importantly, in combination with a Quick Ball, we can actually use Sonia to find all of the pieces that we need for our combos. So you can Quick Ball for an Oranguru, then Sonia for Jirachi Prism and for Mr. Mime, and instantly you're going to be able to get that Jirachi into the prizes. And if you've been able to power up your Zacian beforehand, then you are more than likely going to be taking multiple prizes that turn. It is as simple as that. Now, this list is a little bit finicky. It's obviously combo based, so you are looking for a lot of cards at the same time, but going first, if you're able to get an Intrepid Sword off, get an energy attachment, that kind of stuff happening early, there is every chance that you'll be able to take wins, even against some of the really, really big decks in the format. Things like Pikarom and other ADP Zacians, and also Dragapult VMAX can definitely be beaten by this Combo Zacian list. What we'll do is we'll take this one out onto the ladder and we'll see whether we can get a decent game, but most importantly, we'll see if we can get that combo off. Onto the ladder, and we will try and find a decent game for us here. This one's actually been recorded by me. We're back on actually seeing some gameplay from my cards, which is good. So we'll see how this goes. We've won the coin flip, which is positive, so we will be going first. And this hand is kind of awkward. We'll put the Zacian in the active, obviously, it's our only Pokemon, but we've kind of got a weird situation here where our Quick Ball could realistically be for anything. We're playing here against Dragapult V, so it'll be interesting to see what we could do. We could Quick Ball here and discard an energy and potentially grab, I was thinking Oranguru or maybe even Jirachi, but I think maybe the best thing to do is just get a Zacian V. Because if we're lucky off of the Intrepid Sword, we could potentially put ourselves into a position where we have a fully powered Zacian on turn 1. So I'll commit to this play, we'll see what happens. We're playing against Dragapult, so chances are our opponent's not going to be able to do anything next turn. With Intrepid Sword, we've missed the energy, and this is kind of awkward because we've got Mr. Mime in the hand, as well as Professor's Research. So we're going to have to hope that we can find a Quick Ball or an Oranguru off of the top deck here so that we don't discard the Mr. Mime. If we do discard it, then we're not going to be able to get that combo off. So I don't want that to happen. Our opponent here grabbing Giant Bomb, which is fair enough. They're probably going to attach that to the Dragapult. The last thing that they want is a knockout on that this turn. And, oh, we're getting Marnie here, so that's not too bad. We'll get rid of, obviously, our draw supporter, which sucks, but we also get rid of our Mr. Mime. And, hey, we've drawn into a pretty solid hand here. What we can do is we can attach Metal Goggles, we can attach a Metal Energy, and then either Research or Dedenne. I'm thinking probably Research to try and find a Switch. We do need Switch because the Zacian V is in the active. We might regret not having attached to that one. But I think if we can get a knockout on the Jirachi, it's not the end of the world. We could even potentially sneak a couple of prizes here. That Metal Saucer, though, is unfortunate. I think we're just going to have to commit to this play and then research this hand away. Sucks to get rid of the Metal Saucer, but it shouldn't be the end of the world. We've got the switches, so that's good, but we still haven't found any of those combo pieces. I guess we're just going to have to Brave Blade here. We do have the Sonia, though, for next turn, so we can potentially even up our prize trade just a bit. 230 to a Jirachi seems a little bit excessive, but hey, we've got the Quick Ball, so now with Quick Ball and Sonia, if we are able to take a knockout, we will be able to get ourselves that combo next turn. They've got the Dragapult VMAX and the double Horror Energy here, which is quite frustrating. And they've placed 50 damage onto the bench. Okay, so we've got Marnie. I don't really want to play Marnie here. I think we still go for the Jirachi combo. We've got access to Scoop Up Net and Switch, so we can attack with the same Zacian. The problem that I think we're going to have here is that we haven't got any energy in hand. So what we'll do is we'll just set it up here. We'll get that attack off. The Oranguru and the Sonia will do the job for us here. We'll go through the process of putting the Mr. Mime into play first. We'll get the Jirachi Prism into the prizes. Just in case we get something else off of the top deck. That Shrine isn't super amazing. We'll swap that face down prize there, put it on top. And I think we're probably going to switch into the Mr. Mime just so we can pick it back up. We kind of want to use that one again if we can. And we'll just be able to hit into this Dragapult VMAX here. It's not ideal, but it should be okay. And we'll probably take... Do we take damage from Horror Psychic Energy with the Metal Goggles? Apparently not. I don't know if that's a correct ruling or not. That's a PTCGO ruling for sure. I know that it says abilities and attacks, so I guess if the energy counts as an ability, I don't know. I would love some clarification on that one. Max Phantom here doing another 100 damage, and they'll place 50, you'd think, on the Zacian, which is kind of annoying, but we are in a pretty solid spot here. We've got Marnie. I really don't want to play this Marnie. I think we kind of have to just hope that we can Primate Wisdom into something else here. If we have to play it, we have to play. Okay, we've got a Quick Ball. So what we can do is we can shuffle the top deck again. So if we discard the Mew here, we can grab ourselves, I don't know, another Oranguru. And then we could potentially, or maybe is it worth Jirachi? No, it's gotta be Oranguru, surely. Yeah, it's gotta be the Oranguru. So now we've shuffled the deck, so we get another chance with the Primate Wisdom to try and find another card here. We'll put the Scoop Up. Oh, and we've got the Research. So again, we're going to be discarding a Metal Saucer, which is really annoying, but we're guaranteed the Scoop Up Net. And if we find a Switch, which we didn't find, then we would have been able to just attack with Brave Blade there and take a knockout. But at the moment, I think the best thing to do is just going to be to like Friend Ball, or potentially just Intrepid Sword. We don't even need to Friend Ball. Yeah, we'll just Intrepid Sword, and that's very frustrating. I mean, it'll mean that we can potentially get a knockout next turn, and we will be taking 4 prizes, so that's good. But I would have much preferred to take them now. I guess the best thing out of this turn was that we didn't give our opponent any more cards. And, well, I mean, it's ironic because they're actually drawing really, really well, so it doesn't actually matter whether they have any more cards. But their Max Phantom is going to take the knockout here, and we are in a position now where we only have 1 powered Zacian, and for having 12 energy in the deck, I mean, we really are struggling to find them. We've got the Zacian with 2 on it, and we're going to need to put the Oranguru into the active here. We'll put the one that got some damage on it. It's only 30. I presume that they tried to put some on the Zacian without realizing that the Metal Goggles were there. So we'll use Metal Saucer and attach to that Zacian. And then I think we're just going to Scoop Up Net this Oranguru. The question is, do we put the Jirachi down? Because we kind of want to hold on to the Switch. I think not. I think we're just going to pick this Oranguru up and move the Zacian into the active. It's probably not worth, realistically, using the Oranguru's ability just yet. We'll do some more thinning. and then we can Primate Wisdom here. Probably put a Boss's Orders back on the top, just because that's probably the most important card to be drawing into next turn, just in case. But we are in a little bit of an awkward spot, so we might just Sonia. We'll find another Zacian, although the energy is very tempting, although there's no reason to grab energy if we're not going to be able to attach it. So we'll just chuck this Oranguru back. We'll Primate Wisdom, put the Mawile back in the deck and see if we can find an energy. We can't, but we should be okay here. We've got another Zacian on the bench. And we can play down this Jirachi as well, why not? As long as we've got one bench space open, because we know for a fact that we're going to be getting that Jirachi Prism, which means we're going to draw 4 prizes here instead of just 3. So there's the Jirachi Prism. Would we like to stick that onto the bench? Yes. What a silly question. Of course we would. And we get a Jirachi, a Metal Energy, and also another Jirachi. Okay, cool, no worries. So we've got plenty of stuff here, and actually I don't think that there's a way that our opponent can realistically win the game here. Even if they do get themselves a VMAX, they won't be able to knock us out, because they'll only be able to do 100 damage to the active Zacian, so we have a little bit more time. If they can't deal with that, if they just attack with this Dragapult, then we just retreat into a Jirachi and then Scoop Up Net. Looks like they've got the Zigzagoon, which is now an even freer prize. We don't even need to worry about the Giant Bomb now. We're just looking for that extra prize here. I don't know where they're placing this damage counter. Maybe they just put it on the Zacian and it didn't proc. Yep, it looks like that's the case. And they're just going to Jet Assault here for 30. And yeah, we have the Switch and the Scoop Up Net. So we would have been able to win that game. That's a pretty solid showing for Combo Zacian. We got it off. So our opponent, despite not drawing very well, had everything they needed, and Combo Zacian was able to put on the pressure to win that game. That Jirachi Prism combo is such a good way to accelerate your prize-taking ability, I guess, and it's definitely a good one for playing around with on the ladder. It's super fun, and it's always good when you get that combination off, but hey, there's always the risk when you're trying to play a 3-card combo that sometimes it might just not work, so be aware of that. If you're a person who doesn't want to play water energy in your Zacian deck, this one could be for you. Thank you everyone for coming along and taking a look at this one, even though Celio's network put out their video the second that the tournament finished. The man's insane, but hey, that's okay. He's definitely worth a watch as well. You can go and check out his video. You're more than welcome to, but if you want to subscribe to us, which I would recommend, click the button that's just about here. That would be excellent. On this side of the screen, you've got a couple of videos that YouTube thinks that you might like, as well as a playlist in the bottom right-hand corner for more Rebel Clash deck lists. Thank you everyone for coming along and joining me for this one, and we'll see you all next time for more from the Sableyes.